Hello, welcome to Evolve the Earth Talk Show podcast. And today on our first episode, we have Darrin Harvey. How's it going, man?
Thank you, Allan. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, man. I'm glad to have you on the show. So how you been? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. I've been good. Had a good start to the January, the new year, new beginnings, all that stuff. And my birthday's around the corner, so you caught me right before that happened. So just glad I can stop by.
Happy early birthday, man.
Thank you.
He is also a host of his own podcast, Financial State of Minds.
Yes.
How did you get into finances?
Yeah, so it's a long story, but the short version is I've always been good about managing money, and I find that a lot of people's problems are ultimately around money. So I wanted to find a way to help people out, but what really got me into finances, my situation with my father. I took care of him. Unfortunately, he passed away of Alzheimer's, and it's something that's very costly. And I wanted to make sure I was never in that situation again where I couldn't pay for a loved one. So I learned about finances. I learned how to maximize it as best as possible, manage it as best as possible. And really, I was just like, people need to know about this stuff. So I started telling people. I started telling people, doing financial plans for free, just doing a bunch of stuff for free because I was just genuinely passionate about it.
Passion, for sure. With the podcast, how did you get into the podcast?
Yeah, so I got into the podcast kind of for the same reasons. I wanted to spread the word, spread the love. But I do have my own business. I am a business consultant. I'm a financial consultant, and really, I started the podcast because I do charge for my services. Mm-hmm. But I did want to give something away, to the people for free because. Let's be real, most people who really need financial advice, financial services, they can't always afford it. And giving it away, and the podcast is kind of my way of, giving the information away for free, and it still helps me out as a business owner.
Wow, that is really, really cool, man, as a business owner and podcast. And it's on Financial State of Minds. You can check that out on all the streaming platforms?
Yes, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, financialstateofminds.com. It's on KGPC96.9.com. It's basically everywhere.
Good. Just look it up.
Yep, just look it up.
All right, cool. So how would you explain the concept of compound interest to someone unfamiliar with it?
Yeah, so the concept of compound interest is the idea of investing into something, and that investment is compounding or adding over time. So the classic example is just like, say you invested $1,000 into stocks, mm-hmm. and then you literally invest $100 every single month, but the initial investment was $1,000. Mm-hmm. So that first $1,000, if it gained 10% interest, it would earn $100. So it'd be $100, but then you're adding the other $100 that you're investing in. So really it's $1,200 after the first month. Well, if you do it again, 10% of $1,200 is $120 plus that $100 that you're investing in. Right. And it just keeps compounding over and over again. Right. That's a really basic, idea of compound interest.
Interesting. What factors should you be considered when creating a personal budget?
That's a good question. Most important thing is a goal. Like, mm-hmm. Why are you doing, that's a big thing for me. Right. Why are you doing anything? Mm-hmm. And that applies in finances. But as far as creating a budget, really simple. You need to know how much money you make and how much money you spend. And then you have an idea of what that particular category is. Let's just say it's buying movies. Mm-hmm. You're a movie collector. Okay. And you want to put a budget on that because you don't want to burn all through your money buying 4K Blu-rays. Sure. So you put a budget of, let's just say, $100. Okay. So that's kind of the basics of applying a budget.
Right. Great. Okay. Can you differentiate between a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA, highlighting their respective advantages?
Yeah, so it's pretty simple. A traditional IRA is what most of us have. It is, like a 401k. Right. It's essentially when you have in a retirement account where you invest your pre-tax dollars. So this is money that's been that you're putting in before it's been taxed by the government.
Okay.
And then there's a certain numerical number that you can put in per year. Unfortunately, I don't know that number, but there is a number where it caps at.
Okay.
Roth IRA is essentially the exact same thing, but it's after your money has been taxed.
Okay.
So you're putting your after-tax money into your Roth IRA, and then you again have a cap on that too, but that cap is higher than the traditional IRA.
Okay.
I don't know the numbers offhand because this stuff typically updates at the new year.
Okay.
It's been so the new year just happened.
Just
I just haven't had time.
2024.
I don't typically do investments with people. I do financial planning, but I do essentially that's what it is though.
Gotcha. All right. That's pretty interesting there. Okay, cool. What are some common types of investment vehicles and how do they differ in terms of risk and return?
Yeah, so I kind of break it down into the big three or the big four, I would say. So you invest into stocks. And I would say as a sidebar, that is treasuries, that's bonds, that's like gold, collect, whatever. Like
Right.
I throw them all in there. But stocks, real estate, which obviously houses, commercial, multi-family buildings. Then it's businesses,
Right.
so just any business. And those are the big three. But then the fourth one I tell people that a lot of talk doesn't happen is investing in yourself.
Right.
So investing in yourself, whether that's education, self-education, formal education, like Chabot College,
Right.
or it can just be, anything where you're gaining a skill. So like going to a trade school to become a carpenter or
Right.
electrician, stuff like that. That's all very important. The commonality between all four of those is that they're all going to earn you more money.
Okay, that's really cool right there.
Yeah.
How can individuals assess their risk tolerance when planning their investment strategy?
Yeah, so you just think about the pros and cons, right? So let's take, usually that's for stocks and real estate, sometimes business too as well.
Sure.
When we think about risk assessment, we're thinking about, risk and reward when it comes to, in this example, we're going to use stock. Say you want to invest into a startup company. That's going to be inherently more risky than investing into Amazon.
Right.
We all know Amazon ain't going nowhere. So it's more risky to invest in a brand new startup that has no proven track record. They may not have even generated any revenue. But if they go public or whatever, you're good. You can probably retire maybe if you do enough.
Right.
And how do you figure that out?
Yeah.
You just figure out having a budget, having a plan, knowing your finances. Okay, if you're somebody who has $10,000 lying around and you're saving or surplusing $1,000 every single month, you can invest more into some risky assets compared to somebody who literally is in debt and they need every dollar to get out of debt. If you're in debt, you shouldn't be investing to begin with.
Sure.
But maybe you are somebody who has just a couple $100 lying around a month and you want to invest into something that's safe and secure. You want to go to Amazon because, they may be expensive. Amazon's probably not the best example because they're $1,000 stock, but it could be, say, Disney. Disney's like a couple $100 or maybe 130. Haven't checked it recently, but that's a little bit more attainable. Disney's not going to go anywhere.
Sure.
That's safe. They're going to go up over time.
Gotcha. All right, that's really cool information there. Describe the concept of diversification in investment portfolios and its role in risk management.
Sure. So so basically what I just explained, you want to do a little bit of both. The
Right.
reason why is because the risk stuff is always going to benefit you more. Not benefit. The right word is profit.
Okay.
It's going to profit you more than a safe. So you will always get a bigger return on some startup that magically blows up and gets sold for $1 billion,
Right.
compared to Amazon, because we know Amazon's going to go up. It just goes up slow and steady because it's a big company already compared to a startup. And diversification is the concept of you want to do both, so you're not relying on one thing. You don't want to only rely on Amazon.
Sure.
Because you'll get some money back, but you're not going to get as much as, say, you diversifying. And you don't only want to invest into risky businesses or startup businesses because they're more likely to not succeed.
Sure.
So that's diversification in a nutshell, but that was just for stocks. It's the same concept for real estate. It's the same concept for business. It's the same concept for yourself. Really, you should, if you have the money, you would invest in all of it. Get a little bit of real estate, get a little bit of stocks, maybe buy a small percentage of a business, just so that if one thing fails, the other thing is still there, if not getting stronger every single day.
Sure. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Absolutely. That's basically what it is.
Sure.
In a nutshell.
Discuss the impact of inflation on purchasing power on long-term financial planning.
Good question. Okay. First, I have to explain how inflation works as far as your purchasing power. So this is really the concept. If you have $100 and inflation on average over the last 100 years is 3%, you're essentially losing 3% of that $100 every single year.
Whoa.
So 3% of 100 is obviously $3. So let's take last year. You had $100.
Okay.
At January 1st, 2023, you had $100. January 1st, 2024, on average, that would be now worth $97.
Okay.
That's just inflation. The real number is probably a little bit higher because our inflation's a little bit higher.
Okay.
But generally speaking, if you had $100 last year,
Yeah.
it's worth probably about 96, 97, 95, around there.
Gotcha.
So that's how inflation works. Now just add that every single year. So the next year it's going to be 93. The year after that's going to be 90, 87, 84, so forth and so forth and so forth. So that's the real benefit, or one of the benefits of investing in general. If you're, let's go back to Amazon. Amazon had a 5% growth.
Okay.
Trust me, they're going to do more than 5%.
Oh, yeah.
But they say they have a 5% year-to-date return on your investment, or a 5% growth.
Right.
So if you invested $100 into Amazon, your money basically, you didn't put another dime,
Right.
and you got 5% of that back, you have 105.
Okay.
Now, we all know inflation, again, averages at 3%. So 5 subtract 3 is 2. So your purchasing power would have increased from 100 to 102 overall with that Amazon investment. But if you did invest that $100 and you just left it in a checking account that gains 0 interest, then that purchasing power would have dropped to 97.
Wow, interesting there. How does tax planning contribute to overall financial management, and what strategies can be employed to minimize tax liability?
So this is really for all the people who have income beyond W-2. As we know, W-2 income is taken right away. So if you work a job like I do, that money, before I even get into my account, it's been taxed. And depending on how much money you make, that dictates the amount of money that is being taken out. Obviously, the more money you make, the more it's going to get taxed.
Yeah.
Now, that's, again, W-2. If you're self-employed, as you know, you get all your money up front, and then you have to pay the tax man at the end of the year, or quarterly, depending on how you opt in.
Okay.
So now, when it comes to money management in general, you always want to know that. If you are self-employed, and you earned $100,000, you get that all up front.
Right.
But you have to understand, you have to know that you're going to have to give a percentage of that away, unless you do, tax write-offs or tax deductions or tax credits, which is a whole different other conversation. Basically, for the people who getting their money, through their own side hustles, their businesses, and they're reporting it to the tax man, you should have some of that money put away. Us folks who are getting W-2 income, we don't have to worry about that because the tax man takes it up front.
Awesome. Okay. Do you have any additional financial advice or tips for the people out there?
Oh, yeah. First advice, piece of advice, go listen to my podcast, A Financial State of Mind.
Okay. Got to plug it in there.
Plug
Okay.
in, but if you don't have time for that, real quickly, this is my things. Step number 1, know what you spend, know what you make. So shockingly, I guarantee 1 out of 3 people listening right now, you listening, you don't know how much you make. You don't know how much, or really you don't know how much you spend. Everyone knows how much they make. So that's the first thing. Second thing, have an emergency fund, or AKA an emergency savings fund.
Okay.
So that should be bare minimum 3 months of savings, so that if you lost your job, COVID 2.0 hits,
Shoo.
and everything's shut down, you can float for a minimum of 3 months. Really, it should be 6 months,
Half a year.
to a year, honestly. And that is just for you. If you have a business, same thing. Your business should be saved 6 months to a year.
A cushion.
Yeah. The reason now, Darrin, why 6 months? Because it takes about no more than 6 months to find a job. So that's why you want to have 6. Some people, if you're in a certain profession, we can get jobs, especially in a good market right now, 3 months. So 3 months is the minimum I would advise or accept if it was me.
Yeah.
And then lastly, get yourself out of debt. There is no investment that is going to be better than paying off your debt. Because think of any investment that is, for the exception of a business or a very risky stock or risky investment, debt percentage-wise will eat your money away more than what you can gain from probably 80 to 90% of investments. Spend your time, hustle hard, get that side gig that you're thinking about going, and make some money to clear yourself so you can become debt-free, so you can step 4, invest, like we've been discussing.
Debt-free is the way to be.
Absolutely.
For sure. Well, I also met you. How did I meet you? Through the paralegal department here.
Yeah. So,
could we talk about how we kind of met up over there?
Yeah. So that goes to my day job. So yes, I'm both. I'm an entrepreneur and a everyday have a job. So I work at a job where I sell essentially legal services to law firms. And how we, if I recall how we met was, I'm a salesman, so I'm out and about, in the trenches, as they say. And I'm trying to hustle and trying to meet new people to get new leads so I can sell for the company.
Sure.
So I had a table and I had a booth. It happened to be right here at Chabot College. And we you just walked up to me and you saw my booth and you're just like
pulled out the camera.
Pull out the camera and said, "Hey, can I interview you?" Whoop de woo. I was like, "Oh yeah, sure, no problem." I have my own podcast, so it doesn't matter. And you did the interview, and then you noticed that I was slanging law services, and you're just like, you had a question about a legal matter, and I was just like, this is what I know, but I'm not a paralegal, I'm not in law, but I've been surrounded by attorneys, paralegals, legal assistants now for this is actually my 10th year doing this. So that's how we met, and we just kind of hit it off, and it's been cool ever since.
Yeah, so I think I was doing a news package for the TV station here. That's how I did the interview with you. With my legal matter that I was discussing with you, you helped me out with a lot of information with what I needed, which leads to like the second part where I wanted to talk about cybersecurity, because I think cybersecurity is a very current problem we're having nowadays with everything online and all this internet and Wi-Fi and stuff. So I had a few cybersecurity questions for you.
Okay.
And here goes one. How do you protect sensitive data from unauthorized access?
Whew, that's a really broad question. There's many things you can do to protect your data. Is use some type of service where it encrypts your data, so it makes it a little bit harder. Another thing I would just say is just have very strong passwords for your login. So nothing that someone can just figure out. Have random, make it as complex as possible. Go beyond the minimum requirement. Literally, my best friend says it should be nothing but numbers and letters. It should be straight gibberish.
Yeah, gibberish.
Yeah. So, and then, and don't have your stuff on a spreadsheet on Google. We all do it.
And why is that?
Because it's very easy to take, if someone takes over, just guesses your password on your Gmail account, now they have
access. Gotcha. Okay. What measures can be taken to prevent phishing attacks in an organization?
Education's the big one.
Education.
Educate yourself and then your team on all things cybersecurity. it happens in the workplace far more than it happens to everyday people. It's just there's more targets at a workplace. People are working. People are more likely to slip up at a workplace.
Right.
As far as phishing, as far as plemenching, as far as everything. Really just do the basic stuff. If you have an email from somebody you never know, that's not your client, that's not your whatever.
Do not.
Don't open
Click
it up.
Don't open.
Yeah. So you're generally okay if you open the email.
But not going into the link.
Do not go into the link. If there's any links, never click on it. Ask your IT person on deck if there is one. If not, go to your manager, go to your superior,
Right.
and just be like, does this look fishy?
Yeah.
Usually, a lot of times, not always, it's getting challenging, but a lot of
way challenging.
Yeah, but a lot of these the guys, there's going to be a grammatical error. There's going to be a spelling error.
One letter off.
One letter off.
You might not even
comma off. Missing
something
comma. Something like that.
Small.
Something small can tip you off, or like it just doesn't. It doesn't sound like a person said it. It sounds like a robot said it, or an automation tool, or AI has said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From what I'm understanding is like from this CI interview I saw is that actually once they click onto that link, once you click on it, they can start backpedaling, go back and engineer get into your stuff.
At this point,
once you click on it.
At this point, you can click on a link and someone can take over your computer.
Your Wi-Fi, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Man,
and when I mean take over,
scary.
they can literally move your mouse and you're watching it move without you moving it. Yes.
Wow, that is really spooky there.
Yes.
Explain the concept of multi-factor authentication and its importance to cybersecurity. I think we kind of a little bit there.
Yeah, we did a little bit, but really it's simple. It's we all know the most common one is called two-step authentication. It's essentially you have to do two different steps of security to get into something.
Right.
So the most common one is Google, which I deal with every day.
Okay.
Is I enter my password after my email, and it says we're going to send you a notification to your phone. So the first step was the password. The second step was the notification. You have to hit yes to I agree, I believe, the check to the Google notification, and then you have access to your Gmail.
Oh, man.
So you want to have both of those on because that's just an extra layer of protection for you. It's not hard nowadays to break in and get in a password.
Oh, yeah.
What is difficult is if they don't have your phone physically right there, they can't do that second step. Now, if you're safe, and that second step is optional. So
I don't know, man. With the stuff that's going on, I feel like that could be still like the way that this evolving, this hacking stuff, cybersecurity, it could be still like risky.
If you're on the internet, it's a risk.
Sure.
So there's no avoiding the risk.
Right.
But there are things you can do to maximize or essentially upgrade or just, put a second layer or a third layer or a fourth layer of protection onto your internet and therefore your sensitive information.
That makes sense. How would you handle a security incident such as a data breach?
That's a good question. I would call my best friend.
Well, I called you when I had that data breach, and you explained to me a lot of like legally, like to change the EIN or change, your
So
if they get a hold of it. Tax ID.
Yeah. So if you do get breached, the first thing you want to do is report everything to the appropriate parties.
Right, which is
it could be the IRS, it can be the
FBI,
government, FBI, it can be the
Secretary of State. We could go on.
Yeah, it just depends on what information was taken. If it's credit card information, you contact your credit card provider,
but if it goes any higher,
if it's your tax, if it's your Social Security, you want to contact the Social Security department. So it just depends on what information was breached. Now, if everything was breached, then you got to contact everybody. That's kind of what you do. It just depends on the information that was potentially breached.
Right. Also, I know as soon as you know that you're getting breached, from what I'm understanding, is you want to report it right away, like make a police report or actually have some type of evidence, that like, hey, that because when the IRS comes, they're not playing around.
Yeah. So that's for situations where people are taking over accounts and they're pretending to be somebody else, you definitely want to do that because then if they're going around buying stuff, going around making money under your name, anything like that, that's when you want to, keep your ducks in a row and just keep everything noted and stuff like that. Keep everything tracked as best as you possibly can, so that when you do go to a specialist, it can be an attorney, it can be any of these companies that are selling, cybersecurity and stuff like that.
Sure.
They have the information they need to do what they're getting, what you're paying them to do, which is to get your get your money back, get your get your life back,
Get my life back.
anything like that. So I'm not the best. I just know from again, I have a good friend who's in IT, high level IT, and he taught me the extreme measures he takes.
Okay.
So that's why I just try to pass that information on.
Awesome, man. That is great. Okay, so what role does encryption play in ensuring the security of communication and data?
Yeah, so encryption, it just makes it a little bit harder, not necessarily taken, but to figure out what is being said. So to your point, yes, it's being coded. So the most common encryption that we see is WhatsApp.
Right.
So there's a reason why everyone says, oh, you should message through WhatsApp. It's because their messages are all encrypted. So somebody...
WhatsApp.
So somebody say they hit your account. Not in a sense of like you logged in and now they are logged in. If you logged in, you're kind of you're out of luck because they can just log into your account and see everything right there.
Yeah,
but if they do a massive WhatsApp attack and they get 10,000 accounts, the messages are encrypted. They have to de-encrypt the messages. Then they can see the messages. It's just an extra step of protection, kind of like what we talked about earlier, so that it just makes it a little bit more tedious, a little bit more difficult, a little bit more time consuming for a hacker or somebody who
compromised.
Not necessarily in a sense of it's harder to get the information, but once you have it, it doesn't say, hi, my name is Darrin. It just says gibberish. Yeah. They have to break that next layer. Then it says, hi, my name is Darrin.
Right.
So that's how encryption works, and that's why
it should be gibberish. Okay, for sure. All right. So let's go. How do you stay updated on the latest cybersecurity threats and trends?
Yeah, I want to make it clear, I'm not a cybersecurity expert. That goes to my best friend. Yeah. My best friend
We're going to have to call your best friend.
Yeah. If you really want to know cybersecurity, you want to go to my best friend. I actually have two. I have a friend in IT, and I have a good friend. We're all friends, literally in cybersecurity. That's what he does. He works for a cybersecurity company, and he's decently high up there.
We might have to get him over here for the more complex questions.
Yeah, if you want anything complex, you want to go to that. It's just very interesting to me. And as somebody who's a business consultant who helps businesses, I just give them the bare basic education because most people, especially small businesses, they don't want to let me phrase that. They don't have the time nor the money a lot of times to take cybersecurity seriously. But it's gotten so affordable. There's so many tools where you can learn this information casually. It's really worth your time just to take an hour or two out of your day just to learn the basics, because in 2024, it is easier than ever to be hacked. It is, when I say, guys, it is easy. If you ask me how to hack somebody, I can explain in 5 minutes. It's not hard. And when I say you can do it, viewer, you can do it, you literally can do it. And it's
Don't do it.
Don't do it. I'm not saying you should do it. Don't do it, because you will get caught.
How easy it is.
When I say it's easy and affordable, you can literally do it in 5 minutes and you pay less than $1,000.
Wow.
So that opens the gate for a lot more hackers to do dumb stuff and to get away with it. Because there's so much. And I can keep going, but it's
for sure, man.
It's very important.
Very important. Yeah. Okay, so how can employees be trained to follow security best practices and avoid potential threats?
Really, if you're a business person with a small team, if you have a big enough organization, bring in an expert, pay them the money. If you're a small business owner or you're just an everyday person, there's YouTube videos, webinars, documentaries. We're in the age of information, folks. It's not hard to find this information out. Again, you know where to look. Go on YouTube. Go on Masterclass. Use Google. Use the internet, and take an hour or two out of your day to just understand the basics. And if you need some more complicated, you have some more complicated questions, and then you can just reach out to an expert and then they can help you with any specific questions.
Wow, that is very good. A lot of information there. But as of the business aspect, what are you trying to accomplish with small businesses that you're talking to, and what are you trying to get out of that stuff?
Yeah, so again, I am a business consultant. I'm a business consultant, and I specialize in two lanes. I specialize in helping small businesses market themselves through social media, but my passion is I love helping businesses understand the importance of finance, particularly helping them find funding for their businesses. So I primarily teach that by teaching them about business credit, but I also teach about business loans. I can talk a little bit about grants because I used to work for a nonprofit that handed out grants.
Okay.
And I'm actually currently learning how to help businesses get funding from investors.
Sure.
So I'm learning that right now. So I want to be able to educate as well. So this is how I help businesses grow. Everyone needs money, whether you're individual or a business.
Right.
So I help them with that. Everyone needs help or needs to know how to manage their money, how to properly bookkeep so that they're filing their taxes correctly. Accounting, all that stuff. Yeah, and I teach a good chunk of this, because it's important. It's important. You need to have your book straight because, as you said earlier, you don't want the taxman to come hitting you or knocking on your door, and you don't have your proof.
Right,
and then now you're in trouble.
Right. So that's the kind of situation that I got into. That's how I met you. And maybe later on we'll discuss more into this case that I'm working with Amazon and this compromised situation here. But definitely, it was great talking to you. Could we get some contacts, or how can we follow you and what you got going on?
Yeah. So, definitely you can DM me and follow me at Financial State of Mind on Instagram. That's where I'm most active on as far as social media. I do have Financial State of Minds at Facebook and TikTok as well, but best place is Instagram. You can DM me, you can book a free discovery call, free, if it's through here, I'm more than happy to give a free 15-minute, 30-minute consultation for your viewers right here. No problem. Just
give them a call, guys.
You just let them know where you came from, let them know that, you came from Evolve, and I'll do that for you, no problem, just for you guys watching. Yeah. Alternatively, you can find me at financialstateofminds.com. By the time this episode airs, the website should be up fully. Right now, it's in the works, but it should be up fully. If you go there right now, it'll just probably say coming soon. But it is coming soon. And yeah, that's the two best ways to get a hold of me currently. And I'm more than happy to help people with anything from marketing to just starting up a business. If you have business ideas or questions or anything to do with their finances, business or personal, I'm more than happy to.
Yeah, man, I would like to get into maybe another episode later on down the line to discuss the situation that I got into with this, sellers and compromising that account. And it really gets deep into it with all this substantial evidence. And I would like to discuss it later on a future day. But is there anything else that you have that you want the audience to know, or a message out there for the people?
Yeah, just kind of expand upon the question you asked me, what are some other financial tips? I said the big four, but I really want to focus on getting yourself out of debt. One thing we didn't really talk about is the importance of credit scores.
Okay.
And
scores.
I just want to talk about that really quickly. Everyone knows why it's important to have a good credit score. I'm not going to talk about that. What people don't know is, when you're in times like this where the market is a little slowed up, as far as the Fed's lending out money, due to high inflation, due to the pandemic and stuff like that, it is harder and it's more expensive to borrow money. So borrowing money can be taking out a personal loan. It can be opening up a credit card.
Interest.
It can be the interest, right? Basically, the interest is higher than normal. And everybody comes to me, hey, Darrin, what should I invest in? Should I invest into S&P? That's all great, but here's the thing. I think S&P got a 20% return on investment year to date this past year.
Okay.
Do you know what the average credit card interest is?
No.
22 to 25.
Oh, wow.
And if your credit score is not good, go ahead and bump that up a few more points,
a
few more percentage. So you can have a 20% return on investment, but if you have that same amount of money in debt, you're at a loss. So I can't stress the importance of clearing out your debt so you can do the fun stuff. So people can travel, people can go on that 5-star resort that they deserve, they work their butt for. They can buy their home, they can get that nice car that they want. But everything's more expensive when your credit score is not the best. So I encourage everybody to, again, follow me at Financial State of Minds, listen to my podcast. Literally over half of it is about managing your money so you can get debt free, because it's so important. And when most of the country is in debt, we're a nation of debt, and you can choose to be like everybody else, or you can just be someone different and be debt free and enjoy life.
Man, you better get the credit score on point, people.
Absolutely.
Well, I just wanted to thank you for coming by Evolve the Earth Talk Show podcast, Darrin Harvey. This has been a very good conversation here.
Yeah.
And I would like to continue this later on with a little bit more information. But thank you, sir, and thank you for coming by the show.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate you having me.
You are tuned into Evolve the Earth Talk Show podcast. Like, follow, and subscribe on all platforms at ETE Talk Show. Leave a comment about any subjects you would like us to discuss or questions that we could answer during our show. Join us on our next episode with Professor Kurt Shadbolt as we dive into the automotive world with electric vehicles and much more here on EvolveTheEarth.com. I am your host, Allan Samson. See you all on the next show.